Hello, and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week in episode 10, a hasty voyage across the open ocean turns troublesome. Hello and welcome. I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hey, I'm Drew, and I'm playing Dosktyr, the Duke of Nothing, who has the presence of mind to worry about a sea voyage when at war with the sea, but not to do anything about it.
I'm Robin, and I'll be playing Alyssa Crate, the hot and headachy Duchess of Fury.
See, the funny thing is, because you're on a ship, I was just thinking like, oh, she's like not able to cool off.
Exactly.
That's what she wants you to think.
Well, excellent, and thank you. Before we get started, let's briefly recap any character stat growth and the events of the previous episode for ourselves and our listeners. As I understand it, we're not doing any stat growth. We're hoarding our points dragon-like until we can do more with them.
Dragon-like and with the radical optimism that we're going to be alive at the end of this session. Yes.
What he said.
All right, well, in that case, I think Lissa has the summary this week.
Yeah, I sure do. So last time was a difficult session for me. I took Kea to Ramnet, who was apparently displeased that I did not immediately take her to Farna. To be fair, I don't remember much of the journey there. I just was combating the overwhelming pain of my domain being attacked. Not a big deal. While also trying not to drop Kea. At Farna's place, we left Kea with a personal son that I named Moxie, and Farna with some funds for candles, because of course Kea seems to have whatever virus, whatever contagion is going around Fermata, and that she fears the dark. On our way out to fix Fury, the statue had changed again, and, well, we're not going to talk about the statue. That's not really relevant to everything that's going on. I tried to get the gates to take us to where we are going, but they took us twice to the confluence, a place that Dosk had left when people don't really leave the confluence, to my understanding. And after the second attempt of us appearing in this place and then immediately going back to Fermata, I realized that our destination was someplace that we could not reach, and that we needed to charter a ship. So for that, we sought out Dosk's family and Ferret, visited the Tyr estate. I did some minor landscaping, met Uncle Melly, might have faked a betrothal. I'll have to talk to Dosk about that in the future so we could get our story straight next time and avoid a cringy moment. But thankfully, Uncle Melly equipped us with a ship, a crew, and wares, and Dosk, being the adorable human that he is, gave him the shirt off his back. I attuned with my domain to get our heading, a heading for my headache, as it were, and set about befriending the crew as best I could while wrestling a hangover without the enjoyment of a drunk night. It seems rather unfair. And to top things off, the captain didn't seem all that into me, but I traded sea shanties and bar songs with the crew and seemed to get on all right with them, though they were a little bit weird around Dosk. I guess I'll have to talk to him about his family issues in the future, but that might also mean talking about mine, so I'll think on it when I'm feeling better. Right when things seemed to be shipshape, I heard familiar singing on the wind.
Excellent, and that's exactly where we rejoin our Nobilis on their voyage here, is on the sort of dusk lit deck of the Swift of Ferret, the ship that you're on, as the singing sort of reaches you in little bits and snatches on the wind, which is picking up.
Is it a good wind or a bad wind? Can I discern that from how the sailors are behaving?
I was about to ask what Lissa's criteria are, but if we're looking at the sailors, they have gone kind of still. They seem like they're paying close attention, but no, like, flurry of motion just yet or anything. For what it's worth, it does seem to be a wind coming, like, traveling in your direction. Northerly, at the least.
So I think the first thing I'm going to do is spend 1 domain miracle point and do a greater preservation so that whatever lack of song currently exists on the deck is the lack of song they continue to hear. So if they've gotten just a whiff of it, they'll continue to get only a whiff of it. We'll have a bubble of relative silence.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, you can make relative silence last. That is well within your... Yeah, it's a level 3, so that's well within your ability to do for free.
Okay, I was thinking it was a greater preservation since it's the whole dang ship, but I guess the ship, because before we were...
Yeah, it's relatively localized area.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you did a greater preservation here, that would really be more of a, like, the silence, the noise level remains exactly the same long term. To listeners at home, if you were hearing background noise in my track, my dog can hear squirrels. So
I cast a preservation on those squirrels that they may tantalize your dogs forever. I'm sorry.
I do a lesser creation of fury and have the zoomies carry your dogs away from the microphone.
That's the hope. So anyway, you do manage to sort of preserve this lack of sound. In fact, it's kind of a double-edged sword because the singing does get further away, but or the sound of the singing, I guess I would say, sounds further away, but it dampens kind of all noise. So, like, the sailors calling to each other is a little bit hampered by this. However, even though it's quiet, you can hear the captain say, "Dear God," and whirling around to see her, she is looking aft of the ship, where there is I'm going to call it anomalous water spout off in the distance. You can see the funnel cloud. There are no storm clouds anywhere. You're basically looking like back into the sort of twilight sky. The sun is setting kind of in front and to your left, I believe, if you're facing 4 on the ship. But as the sky darkens aft of the ship and to its right, you can see this funnel cloud in the distance.
Great. I'm going to grab whatever sailor is closest to me and ask him which direction the wind needs to come from to make us go fast and away from. And I gesture vaguely at the water spout and also the direction of the singing.
Yeah. The sailor that you grab seems to be some sort of like swabby.
No!
He's relatively young and very wide-eyed. And so you ask him this question and he goes, "That away, mum," and just points toward the bow of the ship. This is the point at which I have to apologize to any maritime or naval enthusiasts in our audience, because I know some maritime terminology, but I'm going to get some shit wrong, I promise you. So bear with me.
How far away is the captain from me?
20 feet.
Okay. I'm going to go over to her next and say, "Hey, Captain, I'm going to create some wind to get us out of this situation. Let your men know and let me know which direction it needs to go."
She looks at you and goes, "The hell are you talking about?" "Whatever. It needs to come from back where that thing is, so that it pushes us away from it. Clear?
Got it, Captain.
And then she starts dashing around the deck in a way that ship's captains often don't. Sort of rousing people out of their stupor and getting them to rig sails and pull ropes and do all sorts of shipboard things.
So I'm going to do a lesser creation of fury and try to direct the wind as I need to. Because I might be having flashbacks to what happened the last time I heard similar singing. I'm not going to try to inspire fury in the tutelary spirits of the wind itself. I'm going to share my fury.
So you do see there are, I suppose in Rosicrucianism at least, they would be called sylphs. The sort of wind spirits are sort of milling about uncertainly, but generally moving away from this water spout. When you sort of switch your vision over to see them, and you just kind of open yourself up. So, out of curiosity, could you describe the texture and direction or target of Lyssa's fury currently?
The texture of fury is fun. So it's going to I'm going to start with that. It's the acidic and slightly sharp type of fury that comes from a place of black fear and self-perceived monstrosity. And it's coming from somewhere deep in her gut, and she's going to be directing it to the clear horizon over the prow.
Okay, so these tutelary spirits, as you sort of open yourself, broadcast yourself, pause in unison for a moment. And it's one of those things where it's weird, right? Because, like, how many individual spirits does a wind have? The number varies. It's just kind of like this kaleidoscopic shifting landscape of little figures in the air. And then, seemingly as one, they all sort of glare first at the waterspout and then at the horizon, and then start to jostle and push each other. It's kind of a cacophony. It's kind of a turbulence, but it whirls behind the sails and pushes the ship forward. As you watch, the sails catch this wind, and sort of, even though they're snapping in a way that would imply wasted energy, and the sailors are not quite sure what to do with it, the ship starts to move more rapidly away from the waterspout, and starts like cutting through the breakers, and gets a little bit more choppy to stand on the deck, especially for Lyssa is probably an inveterate landlubber. I'm sure that Dosk has been on ships, although maybe not as much as some of the tiers around. It's fairly violent movement compared to what you've had so far. But you are moving away from the waterspout.
How much of a thing would it be for me to create, directly under the waterspout, a small area, or really as large as the waterspout is around, where there is no ocean? Only whatever lies beneath the ocean, of which I may have some notion, but I think if anything I'd be drawing power from the fact that I'm not sure.
That's interesting. For a couple of reasons. You're not sure how big this waterspout is. It's quite a ways in the distance.
Fair.
And it's also quite a ways away. So I would say it's up to you to decide whether you want to do a lesser creation, which is at level 4, which is your, sort of upper limit for not spending miracle points, or if you want to make a major creation for 3 miracle points.
Sure. I guess we don't know definitively that the waterspout is the source of the trouble / the danger. Brief table talk there, I suppose. I will go with the lesser creation and see what happens, since we may need the points for whatever's next.
Okay. You focus on this water spout off in the distance, and you envision just almost like a tunnel the same width as the funnel cloud all the way down to the ocean floor, following it as it moves. And when you have this picture clear in your mind, you sort of like let the power go, and you feel it surge away from you and then bounce off an Octoritas.
Well, we've information now. I probably share. Lissa and I are proximal, right? Like
It's a ship. You can be next to her in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I go over to Lissa, since we've not established any sort of telepathy or whatever. I go and just tell her, as human bodies would, that I think, if not the Nobilis that we faced before, then a coworker is likely within that maelstrom.
Don't let anything happen to this crew.
If we can possibly... No, we won't allow anything to happen.
It's an enclosed space. It would be disastrous if you don't know how to sail a boat like this.
And I'll be perfectly clear, I don't. Right. Nothing happens to the crew for any number of reasons. All right. Agreed.
And you're agreeing, and you understand that you may need to do whatever is necessary to prevent anything from happening to the crew.
I think perhaps you're assuming I'm taking a more cavalier attitude toward this than I am. And anything necessary, anything possible, else I don't know that there will be a me to regret it.
Okay. We understand each other then. What's our next move? How do we prevent them from coming over here? Because we've likely made our presence known at this point.
Well, unfortunately, if our attacker wasn't certain that it was us, or at least things quite like us on this boat, it knows for sure now, and may know to expect a certain degree of power from me, since I believe I was the one who pierced her defenses last time, so perhaps you make the first move? Or do we think we can simply evade?
My vote, for obvious reasons, is on evade right now. And I kind of focus in on the horizon again and just keep the feeling there.
The ship has picked up speed, but the water spout is slowly getting closer. It'll take it a while to arrive at the ship at this rate, but it is closing the distance slowly but steadily. And at about the time that you turn to look at the bow, you see the first of the siren rays sweeping up from the water and gliding toward the bow of the ship. They, however, are not singing. The sailors, when they notice it, understandably, freak the fuck out. And Captain is, sort of trying to whip them back into shape. You lily livers, if you don't keep this ship on a heading, we're all going down. Don't let some impossible sea creatures sway you from your task. We'll take care of it on the deck. And just sort of lambasting them.
I just boom out, aye, aye, Captain, and try to bolster the morale by agreeing with her. I'm going to kind of make my way up to, as best I can, to where the sirens are appearing and pull out Electo. Mm-hmm. And before I reach them, can I do a lesser creation of fury and try to rile up the wildlife again? Go full deranged Snow White, though this time, as before, I'm just going to funnel my fury into them.
Okay. Sure. Let's have you roll a command inspire.
Ooh, generous.
Intentionally so.
7, so 2 7.
Yeah, so 2/7s, you aren't sure what's out there, but you just let your fury flow into the sea life around here, and you see the first evidence you have that this is working is that some fish, you are enough of a landlubber that you're not sure what kind, but they seem large to you, actually like hop out of the water and like try to take bites out of the siren rays as they kind of come up and start to glide. At this point, there are probably 14 or so of these siren rays in the air, sort of gliding toward the bow of the ship. And as you're looking in that direction, you can actually see Philia, the girl from Calavan, is walking along the surface of the water behind them. She is standing there, walking toward the bow of your ship. She seems to be maybe directing this particular contingent of siren rays, and they are getting to where they're starting to drop onto the foredeck, but they still are not singing. The sailors are mostly concerned with trying to keep the ship going as fast as they can away from the waterspout, but a couple of them start to try to basically go kick these siren rays off the ship, and they tend to get sort of like jumped on. So this would be a good time to start doing maybe some combat stuff.
Yeah,
to try
if it wasn't clear
safe.
when Lissa went running with Electo, Dusk certainly went, "Aye, Captain," maybe less boomingly, but nonetheless with enthusiasm, and drew the Mombele and started going for wherever the rays either were or were about to be.
So let's get a combat roll from either of you. Let's start with Lissa. What is your action going to be here combat-wise?
I am going to start where the closest sailor to me that is being jumped upon by one of these sirens. I'm going to bodily put myself between them and the siren, or attempt to, and just do a huge swing of my hammer.
All right. And Dosk, what is your action going to be?
Is there, I see where Lissa's going, obviously. Is there another sailor close to me who is obviously being set upon? I'm sure I'm spoiled for choice, unfortunately.
There are several.
Yeah, so I go for the nearest one, and yeah, I try to Mombele the rays off of this poor sailor.
Okay, well, go ahead and do your combat rolls. I think that's 7 dice for Lissa and 4 dice plus an expert die, which again you set before you roll.
Right.
To whatever number you desire. For Dosk, and I'm going to roll for the raise.
Ooh, 2. I have 2 9s will be the best thing to go for here. I also had 2 7s.
I'm going to set this expert die to 4. It just gives me a good feeling. And it was probably good that I did, because that's 2 4s.
All right. So
nice.
Both of you managed to essentially fend these rays off from the sailors that they were attacking. And they sort of fall back to the deck, where they have their weird little human arms kind of propping them up. And they're scowling with their weird little human mouths. But they're still not singing. Philia, in the meantime, is walking slowly toward the ship. She's maybe 100 feet away from the bow now, although it's not entirely clear what her plan is. You've seen her before. She'll definitely be able to get up to the bow if she likes from there, despite the size of the ship. The sailors are pretty disconcerted by this, and slowly, very gradually, as the waterspout gets closer from the aft of the ship, the singing on the wind is getting a little bit more consistent, a little bit more audible as it draws closer. It's still not close. It's still a ways off, but it is drawing slowly closer.
2 of them?
Lissa, you are having a little bit of a problem.
Oh no.
You feel yourself in a feedback loop. You've funneled your fury out to the wildlife, and it seems to be helping. You can see some turbulence under the waves where maybe some rays are being intercepted or injured. Some of the rays that are jumping up and gliding toward the ship are doing so bloodied. but you also find that you can't cut it off. The flow has established itself and is increasing. As you are defending these sailors, you feel the rage rising within you. So, I would like you to just make a 1-die roll and tell me what you get.
It's not ominous at all.
5.
5. All right. For now, you manage to ride sort of the flow of your fury. You focus it on these siren rays as they come up. And so I would like another combat roll from each of you to keep these siren rays away from the sailors.
Sure.
Woohoo! 3 9s.
All right.
Expert die is set to 8. Let the record show. 3 4s. Should have set it to 4 again.
I guess. Yeah, both of you managed to sort of keep the siren rays in front of you at bay with, sort of effective blows. You haven't killed anything yet, but you have wounded some and driven them back. However, before you manage to swat it, Dusk, the siren ray in front of you manages to sort of drag its sharp canines down the side of your head from temple to chin, and you will take 2 killing damage to your head.
Okay.
It hurts a lot.
Thanks for clarifying. On the plus side, cool Scar Club.
That's what I'm here for.
Whatever I do with Electo this time is probably accompanied by a pretty feral shout.
The siren rays have stopped coming up from the surface. About 24, have in the course of this moment jumped and glided, and some of them have landed on the deck. More and more are landing on the deck. Maybe 8 by now, and the rest sort of gliding forward. Philia has more or less been obscured by the bow of the ship. She's still down on the water, but you can no longer see her as she's drawn close. And the waterspout behind you has maybe come 20% of the way toward the ship from where you first spotted it, growing larger in your view as you look back. The singing now, it ebbs and flows on the wind, but it never is quite inaudible. And you can see it starting to affect some of the sailors. They kind of close their eyes and shake their heads or zone out for a minute before they come back in. So it's pretty much just the 2 of you at the front facing 8 and counting of these siren rays, with Philia waiting in the wings. What are our actions for the coming round?
I think we coordinate. So I think I say to Alyssa, if you can handle our bestial problem, I think my efforts are best directed at making sure these sailors do not dash themselves against the proverbial or literal rocks.
I agree.
So I guess the only in quick table talk, if I blast this thing with a greater creation of nothing to give us a bubble where the singing won't reach us, are we going to be completely unable to hear each other? And I don't know if I would know this in character, or if something instinctually would tell me that.
I feel like the most fun thing to do is that you won't know until you try.
Yeah, I mean, I figured you were going to say that. I guess the table talk part is, if we all can't hear each other, do we have a plan to communicate with these sailors? Sign language side story would have been real helpful beforehand, but it's a little late for that now.
Yeah, Alyssa only speaks Taraxan.
I think I need to do that, though. I need to stop them from losing it. So I think, since I'm doing a greater miracle, I think I try as quickly as possible to as accurately as possible, I should say, to target the song itself, to replace the song with no song in their heads. In fact, as I'm doing this, as I'm thinking over what this might feel like, I hum to myself a melody that is as close as I can get to no melody. And I wish to replace the Mal song with this meaningless nothing song.
That may unconsciously mimic one of the Body Tavern songs that we were singing with the crew earlier.
Almost certainly, like an atonal version of that. Yeah.
Tavern songs by Slay.
Or like Liggity Sea Shanty. I don't know. Like one of the somewhere between those two things is exactly what we're going for.
So this sounds to me like the miracle happens, of course, regardless. But in terms of pinpointing your effects, the roll here sounds to me like a sense hearing roll, which is a 2 for
That's
you.
not great news. Okay.
So the other thing to keep in mind, of course, is that anything that involves your mortal attributes, you can choose to spend aspect miracle points on to help max it out, rather than rolling for it. And in this case, what you'd be looking at would be something along the lines of, probably high-level human performance, which would mean, like basically being able to identify, like, perfect pitch and tempo, and then, kind of get to the opposite of it.
I'm doing harmonic analysis on a supernatural song, basically. Sure.
Yeah, which would be a level 1 aspect miracle. Would be 1 aspect miracle point. So you can roll, or you can essentially take 2 10s for 1 aspect miracle point.
This is an important one. I think I'm going to spend the additional points. So I'm spending a total of 3 points, right? Because I spent 2 to get to this miracle level, and then I'm spending 1 to max the roll? Or am I just spending the 1 total?
So 1 aspect miracle
Gotcha.
point. And in terms of the domain miracle, that is separate.
Gotcha.
So that would be from the domain.
So 2 and 1, respectively.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Indeed.
Okay. Makes sense. I'm going to do that.
All right. So you use your sort of aspect miracle to pinpoint exactly what you need to do, and you basically do supernatural noise canceling on this.
That is kind of what I was describing, huh? Like
song,
you mirror the wave, and yeah, okay.
And yeah, you almost sort of delete it from the sensory perception of the sailors in the vicinity of the ship. And you can see them sort of shake themselves and go back about their business, allowing you to go about your business. So, Lissa, your action for this particular combat round, as the 8 or so siren rays menace the larger deck.
Do I still have, from what I can tell, the attention of some of the what was the word that you used for them? Not toolers.
Sylphs.
The sylphs around. Are there any that are unoccupied that I can see?
They not to be facetious, but they basically all seem to be moshing in the vicinity of the sail. Just a nice big circle pit.
That's adorable. I may try, if I can single 1 or 2 out, I may briefly direct my fury to the 7 or 8 sirens on deck and try to knock them off with a gust of wind.
Okay. So this would still be in your level 4 miracle point, or sorry, level 4 miracle, so 0 miracle point.
Lesser creation
range. Yeah, so let's get a command inspire roll to see how well you direct their fury.
2 6s. Once
Okay.
I set my master die and command inspire.
Indeed. So yeah, you get a handful of these spirits, sort of basically they're like in the circle pit, and then 4 of them like spin off, like, just instead of taking the turn to go around, they just kind of come around and then shoot in your direction and start knocking these siren rays back. And you're glad to see the effect. You're sort of viciously gratified to see these things knocked off the deck. and the flow of fury through you widens a little more. Roll 1 die and tell me what you get.
A 4.
The flow of fury through you, sort of metaphorically speaking, grows deeper until you can't keep your head above it anymore, and you are swept under by it.
Do I have a chance to react to this, or is it just instantaneous?
I mean, I guess what kind of reaction are you hoping for?
Can I yeet myself off the boat?
When you feel it start happening, you start running toward the bow. Dosk, you hear a familiar and terrible scream that trails off into a maniac laugh. And you turn around in time to see Lissa running toward the bow of the ship, her tattoos unpeeling themselves from her arms to become tendrils of shadow. As this laughter echoes around the deck, she throws herself from the bow toward the ocean, and though it was impossible for her to have seen it, she ends up tackling Philia out of the air as Philia was raising herself up to deck level. The Lissa thing collides with her, cackling the whole way down until they splash into the ocean.
So Dusk screams, but he probably screams something strangely expository and not helpful to anyone around. Like, it seems we've exchanged one problem for another.
Moments after Philia and the Lissa thing hit the surface of the ocean, you can see just turbulence start kind of all around.
So we've established I can sort of use like my lesser divinations of nothing to sound for things. Can I tell like how close they are? How close, like anything? Like can I learn something about? Well, I guess that's more something than nothing at this point. It's not just an interruption of space. It's combat of supernatural proportions. All right. Scuttle that. This is a bad situation. I think I do run for the captain and say, Captain, it may be, if anything, more important that we continue in the direction we're going expediently. I assume that was your plan, but
get out of my way! She literally shoves you to the side.
Mid-shove, I say,
stalks
aye,
toward the front of the ship. She starts yelling at her sailors near the bow of the ship to get back on track and try to harness this weird wind they've got to move them. The waterspout is nearing sort of halfway from where you spotted it to where the ship is. The singing presumably has gotten louder, although your noise canceling is still in effect.
Okay, and we're intentionally skipping the part of this that is happening under the ocean and going back to...
No characters present have any idea what is happening under the ocean.
That is a perfectly reasonable point. I mean, I think not having a sight line to Philia probably doesn't mean I can't help. To weaken her, to hopefully pierce her Octoritas, and in any case weaken her resolve or physical, potency. Maybe physical is the wrong word, but potency almost certainly isn't. I think I feel for where Philia is, and I negate with as sharp a point as I can muster.
Okay. So what level of domain miracle are you willing to use on that?
I think I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 point to do a lesser destruction.
Okay.
To see if what I'm attempting to do is find where she's drawing her power from and make it not be. That would be the nothing, but probably the way I'm picturing it in my head is an infinitely black blade piercing a glowing thing.
Okay. So a lesser destruction is going to be 1 point. Getting that to pierce her Octoritas is going to be 2 more.
Gotcha.
So it'll be three total domain miracle points that you would need to spend.
Yeah. It's not that I'm not committed to this fight. It's that I know we need to talk down the Lissa thing still, and that's a not insignificant effort. I think I go for it, though. I think I spend the 3 points, and we can always right of the last trump this sucker as we're saving Lissa from herself / other things that are only sort of herself.
Okay, so you focus in on where Philia is, and you basically just, channel, a lesser destruction of nothing into the Octoritas around her, and you feel something rupture. You're not sure exactly what's going on. No immediate results. The sailors are actually coordinating to break into 2 groups, one to man the rigging and to sort of haul the sails around, and another to essentially use all sorts of shipboard equipment to whack these siren creatures off of the bow of the ship and back into the water. Because without their song, they're far less dangerous. They can still do damage, but they're just a physical threat. And sailors, generally speaking, relatively physically capable. So there's sort of, it's not quite a stalemate, but a slow pushing back of the siren rays at the bow of the ship, and sort of an unchanged visual panorama of the ocean in front of the ship as it just sort of continues to sort of demonstrate turbulence. But you did feel something happen.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm doing on a divine level. On a mortal level, I'm going to assist the sailors, and probably the 2 things maybe even feel like one thing. I'm driving forward with the Mombele as I'm driving forward into the unknown depths, both of the ocean and of Philia.
So due to your concentration on the miraculous, you lose your expert die, but if you'd like to roll 4 dice for your Mombele.
I probably should try and walk and chew gum here, because things are still not great, so sure, let me give it a go. That is 2 1s.
Okay. Well, that means that you come out just a little bit ahead on your confrontation with these rays. Combined with the sailors, you are sort of pushing them back. They are awkward opponents to fight.
I'm going to say I go somewhat cautiously, right? Because I do have, in terms of, knowing abilities and things, just going to remind listeners, I did study the school of the insouciant monkey. So I can add sort of a dodge action to any of my attacks with no penalty. So especially since I took a slash to the face, I'm definitely being a bit cautious and evadey.
Yeah. And you are managing to slowly drive them back. And after a few moments of this, there is a huge plume of water as something shoots out from the surf in front of you. And the sort of image resolves as these like sunset drenched droplets like sort of spread out into a mist and then settle back into the ocean with rainbows refracting through them, of the Lissa thing laughing maniacally and holding Philia sort of by her collar of her tattered sailcloth garment. Philia is not exactly unconscious, but she is bleeding in a few places, as well as having sort of like inflamed wounds on either of her arms, and sort of lolling back as this Lissa thing sort of pulls itself up on the bowsprit with these sort of shadow tendrils laughing and cackling. I don't know, Robin, if maybe you want to give us a soundbite here, because the laughter and the cackling is followed up by a single word.
Gonna be more than a single word, just so you know.
Sure, that's fine.
Thou before Mavia.
With that, the Lissa thing drops Philia back into the sea, and the surface of the ocean calms.
when the surface
Lyssa
of the
thing.
ocean calms, do I notice a change in the Lyssa thing? The feedback loop does not
No.
end. Okay, we need to interrupt that circuit.
After announcing herself, the Lyssa thing, Mavia, descends to stand on the very end of the bowsprit, grinning, shadow tendrils writhing, serpentine around her, and walks down toward the deck. The siren rays that are still on the deck seem to sense this, glance at her, and dive off the bow.
I take several steps toward Mavia, probably convincing myself that I look confident, though I almost certainly do not. And I call out to her with my voice, but not only with my voice. And I say, if you were you would want me to detente, perhaps with Philia, but certainly with you. The work is done. You can cease to royal.
Is the water spout still boiling behind?
The water spout is still gaining ground behind you. It's maybe 2/3 of the way of the ship now from where you originally spotted it. Call it half a mile off.
Based on the dynamics of where the Fury is currently, I would say that water spouts are a pretty viable source. I look at Dosk and laugh/scream at him and continue my way past him with the clear intention of jumping off the back of the boat this time.
Okay. I'm going to rule that you also pick up speed. Until you're at the end of the bowsprit, you're just sort of walking in a very deliberate manner. When you hit the deck, you start to sort of like pick up speed. By the time you're amidships, you're jogging, and then you're sprinting by the time you get to, sort of the stern.
Occasionally missing a step as the tendrils compensate for giving me inhuman speed as well.
Seeing what she's doing.
The sailors are all pressed back against the railings.
Seeing what she's doing, I say, well, maybe the work's not done, but even so, and I realize what's going on, and I think perhaps what I need to do is immediately end the existence of that water spout. So before, when I was going to take more drastic action, I was going to say I could spend what I didn't spend before, but also if Philia is a little bit more out of the picture now, maybe I can disappear that water spout with a lesser miracle. Drop it to wherever the realm beneath the sea is.
Mm-hmm. So you did feel an Octoritas last time you tried to affect.
But I don't know for sure that was Philia.
Well, it means that I'm going to ask you, let's see, you said lesser creation, was it? Or lesser destruction?
I think it was lesser creation of nothing, because I'm basically making a bottomless
lesser
pit.
Creation, yeah. So that's going to be 0 miracle points to do a level 4 domain miracle of lesser creation. But do you want to add any penetration to it?
Just as a peek inside my head, although we're doing the proper peeks later, dear listener, as you may be aware, I don't want Lyssa to finish destroying whatever her wrath is pointed at, or rather the Lyssa thing, which now has a name, which I feel an eldritch power in even speaking. I don't want that to happen and then have Lyssa just be in the middle of the ocean. That seems like that would be bad.
She can't swim.
Yeah, we've established
I don't think she has any stats in that.
Yeah. So
wait. What would swim be?
Swim would be body plus athletics.
Oh, she can swim. She can swim.
Okay. That makes this a little less urgent.
For some reason, I forgot that, like, ride and climb. Like, I thought it was going to be under coordination as opposed to body, so I feel better now.
So I would say that without being trained in swimming, a Master in Athletics would let you keep your head above water for a human amount of time.
But that's
Okay.
if you weren't, just as a random example, coming off a horrible transformation, right? Like, I mean, like Alyssa was pretty out of the picture for a minute after coming down from this last time.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, you might have to make up some distance to the surface first.
So I think making this thing not be, if at all possible, is probably a good idea. So I do need to add some penetration. That right of the last trump thing is 2-1 if I need to take domain.
Correct.
Or rather, some other kind of miracle point other than domain.
Right.
I think I do 2 penetration. I spend my remaining domain miracle point, and I take 2 from aspect.
Okay. You do 2 penetration here, and you are trying to negate the water spout itself.
I think I'm trying to suck the water spout into an infinite nothingness below it, such that anything circling around it, as the rays circled Philia, will also sort of be, if not unexisted, then certainly out of where we are.
So that's an interesting thing, because as you sort of turn to face the water spout, as it's gotten closer, you can see, in a way that maybe Mavia was not going to register at a glance, given her general being, that this water spout is actually being circled rapidly by hundreds of siren rays. They are basically riding these spiral winds around and around this water spout in sort of a loose cloud. And that seems to be where the song that you are still noise canceling has been coming from. So you craft this miracle and you send it forth, and you feel the resistance of the Octoritas that was around that waterspout the first time, and you feel it crack, and you see the ocean simply bleed out of reality underneath it, and the waterspout itself very rapidly descends. The rays start to sort of spiral downward after it, but it doesn't disappear. It simply becomes a whirlpool in the ocean, following up after you.
It's less of an improvement than I was hoping for, because I don't know that we want maybe a diving into a whirlpool, because who even knows what happens then? Does anything else happen before I have the opportunity to do something else? Are the sailors, is the captain doing relevant stuff right now?
I mean, they are trying to keep this ship ahead of the whirlpool that is suddenly behind it. They have enough to do, I think would be the ruling there. The siren rays at the front from where Philia was coming from have been cleared from the deck, both by the sailors and Mavia's passing. Fortunately, she had the water spout to focus on, and so her shadow tendrils did not reach out to any of the crew. But you're not sure where exactly she is in the water at this point, and the whirlpool is still moving after the ship.
Well, hell.
That's a really good point to maybe transition to asking, now that Mavia is in the water and approaching what is now a whirlpool, what is she doing?
Oh. It's still a fantastic source of rage. So I imagine that she's feeding on it. And the creatures therein, and inciting the rage more, but turning it in on itself as she did in the city.
Here's an interesting thing. Mavia is feeding on the rage of this whirlpool, but also feels it pulling on her rage. There's almost like a feedback loop happening here.
Just start screaming.
Presumably, the underwater creatures can hear you, although those above will not be able to. Yeah, and you approach closer and closer to this whirling current. So, having made this thing into a whirlpool, does Dosk have a next move?
Briefly, he despairs. That is probably a more in character decision than anything with mechanical implications.
I think I saw that unfold earlier on your facial expression.
You
too.
saw it, but people at home have to hear it, so I thought I would just make that clear. If it wasn't clear from inflection, he's what's the name of that meme face with the dark lines over it? Who just has an infinite level of resignation. He's that guy briefly. So having shaken that off, I think. So to give folks a peek behind the scenes in a useful way. I have no domain miracle points now. So anything over a level 4, I'm either last trumping or not doing. And I'm also not 100% sure what my goal even is, because if I cut off this feedback loop, then Lissa is Lissa in the ocean next to something that is more comfortable in the ocean than she is. And also tapped. This is almost like we have like a competent GM who puts us in difficult situations or something.
Well, you have a GM who puts you in difficult situations anyway.
Quiet you, with your
We
self-deprecation.
do not tolerate that here, Hollyhock God.
Pay yourself homage, Hollyhock God. Supplicate to thyself. Anyway, I'm just I've cut this part out if you want, but I'm thinking like, can I do something with other kinds of points besides domain miracle points natively that would actually be helpful? Realm is no good because we're not in Fermata. Spirit is really more defensive in contexts like this. I have 3 aspect miracle points, but I'm not sure what good my body is right now. Probably very little. I think I don't have a move other than trying to cut off that feedback loop. And I'm trying to, let's see, so what level of miracle would that be? Because anything that isn't just giving, both of them just getting more powerful with each other's rage is not a situation that we want to continue. So yes, I think I'm cutting off the feedback loop as best I can. Would we call that, would that be a lesser destruction? Would that be, well, no, because I'm creating nothing, not destroying.
I would say, yeah, you could do a level 4 lesser creation or a level 7 major creation. Interestingly enough, if you're targeting the loop itself, you may or may not have to deal with Octoritas. You won't really know until you try.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think I try, and again, it almost certainly does not occur to me in these terms because the people in this world have not read the rule book or any part of it. But something tells me that if I'm targeting the thing rather than the thing creating the thing, that a lesser may do, and that I have it in me to do that. Let me add here. I'm going to make the in-character decision that I have never put away in my Mambele. So the sailors, the captain, would not just see me worrying at the ocean, but fencing at it in a way that has no perceivable effect, except, of course, when it turned the water spout into a whirlpool. So I'm probably a curious sight, even more so than usual.
I love this mental image because I imagine you're also making like little noises.
Yeah. Think Link in the Zelda game of your choice.
So yeah, you invoke this lesser creation of nothing, targeting sort of the links of this feedback loop between the 2 Octoritai. I think that's probably
this is the first time we've had them plural. It's delightful.
Pluralization. Yeah. Of Mavia and the one in this water spout. And you feel it push up against something. You feel it break tension. And all of a sudden, there is sort of a almighty gurgle and sploosh from the aft of the ship. And immediately, the whirlpool goes from being a couple hundred yards away to being just aft of the ship, and it begins to rise out of the water again. Now, what you don't see This is what I'm about to tell Mavia. Mavia, you are being held sort of at arm's length from this whirlpool by this loop of fury. You're pulling from it, it's pulling from you, and like two poles of a magnet, they're repelling each other, and you're sort of each straining to get toward the other, and then in a moment, something snaps this feedback loop, and the two of you reverse poles straight together. You realize two things very quickly. The Nobilis is the whirlpool. There isn't a person in it. The phenomenon itself is imbued with the soul shard of an imperator, the same one as Philia. You can just kind of like taste it. The second thing is you hear the roaring of the water around you resolve into a voice. It's a surprisingly resonant, calm voice, although in it is all the fury of the whirlpool and the water spout. And it says, "I am Remulus. Who are you, beautiful rage?"
I ship it.
If the sploosh didn't bring Alyssa back in some form, then surely that did.
I shipwreck it.
I shipwreck it. Oh my gosh. That's exactly what's going on here. It's the anti-shipping of Lissa. Okay. I imagine that Mavia just growls her name, and then it escalates by the last syllable into this just ethereal shriek.
That shriek is audible above the surface. The air within the whirlpool as it slowly rises is saturated with this shriek. But Mavia, you hear Remulus's voice, again, and it says, "Your fury is exquisite. Where are you bound?"
I'm having to talk.
Well, and it's interesting because Mavia probably has a purer, more intense fury than Remulus does, but Remulus's fury is primal. It runs deep and wide. And so Remulus is more conversant, but clearly sees a kindred spirit in Mavia.
The fury in me recognizes the fury in Remulus. Instead of a verbal answer, the shrieking continues, but an image comes into mind of Mavia, of the direction, the fury being under assault, the pain that it's been causing her, and the shackles that she had to break free in order to preserve fury.
So that is a good point. Mavia is also experiencing the assault and the sensations of the assault of fury. Assault on fury. And is a lot less chill about it than Lissa. And so Remulus growls in the way that only a fathomless whirlpool can growl, and says, "You are fortunate, then, to have happened upon the power of voyages. I will see you to your destination, beautiful one. Will you stay with me while we travel?"
Mavia laughs. And even though it's deranged and unhinged and a grotesque cackle of rage, there is an underlying glee to it.
You can actually hear the song through the water of the siren rays, still swimming rather than gliding now around and around Remulus. And it is wilder and more atonal than it was before. Now, Dusk, you are on the ship. And you watch as this whirlpool slowly coming out of the water, so like maybe almost equal to the stern of the ship in height, as it's sort of like whipping up surf around it and is sort of like beginning to become a waterspout again, suddenly dips down and moves rapidly to beneath the ship. The ship begins to sink into this whirlpool, and the captain is yelling and screaming, and the sailors are all grabbing. And then suddenly, on a northwesterly bearing, the whirlpool begins to drag the ship forward. It is not at all a comfortable ride or speed. It's jostled this way and that constantly. More than one hardened sailor runs to the rail to vomit over the side. Possibly Dusk does too. Your call.
I think I do. I think I'm attempting to explain as I run for the rail and doing a bad job of it. I probably just say it's a détente and then vomit.
And you are off into the now fully set sun. At a rapid clip. More or less like an old wooden roller coaster, just jostling every which way the whole time. The sails basically snapping to and fro until the captain manages to pull them, or get the crew. She doesn't do it personally, to reef them. And the ship sort of, jostles and wallows and rattles to the northwest as fast as this whirlpool can carry them. Carry it. Sorry. In the meantime, Mavia, you have the interesting experience of basically just communing with a force of nature. It does weird things to time, but that feedback loop that you were in earlier is just tighter now. You can draw on Ramulus's fury, Ramulus can draw on your fury, and you exist in this timeless frothing mad ecstasy of mutual sort of amplification. Ramulus doesn't often use words, but you can feel this whirlpool growing stronger and yourself growing stronger the longer you are held sort of in this vacuum in the middle. Your shadow tendrils sort of extending into the whirling walls of water and propping you up.
Sounds like a good time.
Mavia certainly enjoys it. Seemingly Romulus does too. So, Dusk, you're not sure how fast you're going, but you're going that fast pretty constantly. And it's a rapid clip, faster than the Swift of Theric could manage on its own. The captain is absolutely livid that this is happening, but can do very little about it. And so basically banishes you to your cabin unless you have news for her. Is there anything that you get up to?
I suppose my question would be, how aware am I of what's happening? On a scale of, I'm not even sure Mavia is still with us, to I can somewhat hear their conversation on some weird unspoken level. What do I know?
When you concentrate hard enough, Mavia is directly below the ship. It doesn't seem to budge from that spot.
Okay.
You can also feel the strange Octoritas that was around that waterspout anytime you reach out with your mythic senses.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay, so I think pre-banishment, I definitely try to explain to Captain that this is fine actually, and the best possible outcome, and should be of nautical interest, perhaps, since we're learning a new navigation technique. Heretofore and I assume I get cut off and banished to my cabin.
Yes. She throws an empty clay mug at you, having just downed like her third glass of rot gut in the last half hour, and you retreat back to your cabin as she stomps off across the deck. The sailors are basically all praying, some of them to the obsidian god, others to more maritime figures, and sitting near the rails, looking kind of green around the gills as you pass by on your way back to your cabin.
Those who I hear praying to the obsidian god, I perform little ghost miracles to make the air around them a little darker. Those who I can tell are nauseous, I see if there's anything I can do to negate their nausea, though there may not be.
I mean, you could do a lesser creation of nothing in their stomach. Give them less
Might make
to
them.
worry
It's
about.
like the Chrono Trigger time pods. They become very hungry, but otherwise it's helpful. Yeah.
Pretty much,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, but yeah, back in my cabin, I suppose the first thing I do is figure out how long we'll be enduring this as best I can. But I suppose we don't even know how far away our destination was, so that would be tricky.
You had a ballpark of 400 miles, which is, by oceanic voyage, not incredibly long from the modern perspective in the real world. But in terms of crossing open water in Taraxis, unheard of. So let's see if you could roll knowledge plus lore.
I can certainly do that. As soon as I look up how many dice that is. That is 7. Thank you.
This would be like a sense direction kind of thing if you didn't have a pretty sure heading already and a number in
Sure. I think I like these 2 dice better. Yeah. Very important stuff. Okay, here we go. That is... Hold on, that's a lot of visual information. That is 3 8s.
3 8s. Nicely done. As well as you can figure, given the rate that you're going, and you measure it in terrestrial and nautical rates as well as you can, if you keep this up 24 hours a day, you should be there. Math. In like 2 to 3 days. Which is literally miraculous. But you are unsure whether or not you can count on the consistency.
I scribble this down on a scrap and wedge it in my door, so if anyone happens by who happens to be able to read it, they might take comfort. But really, I'm itching to be able to do something, and I'm not sure what I can do that's actually useful. Every so often, when I'm not able to busy myself, but I am able to keep my stomach in check, I try to reach out and see if I can hear Lissa specifically, not Mavia, but Lissa.
No.
It's about the answer I was expecting.
Maybe for your part, you are, like I said, kind of in this timey-wimey zone, down kind of sharing fury with this water spout. But every once in a while, your little vacuum in the middle of this whirlpool is interrupted by a siren ray just flinging itself in. And you summarily devour it.
Tasty.
And it isn't until the second or third one that you realize that this is Romulus offering you meals.
Dinner
yeah,
date.
I was going to say, we have a good dinner date every few episodes. Yeah.
Especially as Mavia, this is actually quite enjoyable. Ripping into living flesh is exactly what you desire.
100%. How romantic.
So,
I would say the third time I reach out to Lissa and hear nothing back, I try reaching out to Mavia. And I try phrases that I think might matter, like mutual respect, like détente, and sound for any response at all.
So here's my question. You're using your sort of divine senses to do this. What skill are you using with it?
It's a very good question.
What stat plus skill combination are you using here?
I mean, if you're trying to bait me into extemporizing more poems,
it wasn't my thought, but if you want to go that direction, I invite you to try to miraculously convey poetry to the rage elemental.
I don't know what kind of poem the Rage Elemental would enjoy.
Iambic pentameter. I have it on good authority. Resonates.
Noted.
Maybe.
We are totally going to have to drop a marker, and you're going to have to give me at least a minute if we're doing iambic pentameter. But I will accept the challenge. Yeah, let's. I mean, it seems like
I'm being facetious. I don't think. I don't think honestly, poetry is kind of mellow.
Yeah, well, and it requires meter, which is, like, can be expressive, but is awfully controlled, frankly.
Yeah, no, I mean,
unless you're doing beat poetry or.
I was gonna say beat poetry or like Carl Sandburg. You may be able to get a little bit.
Sure.
Allen Ginsberg, maybe.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if I could invent death metal right now, I would. Can I roll to invent death metal?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Make an argument for which role you should use to invent death metal.
That's an extremely. Let me just take a look at this real quick. I don't think it's knowledge plus lore. I mean, if there's such a thing as verse plus eerie, that might be the way to go. But that's like that crosses the streams.
So you usually can't combine skills necessarily, but if you wanted to combine sense with perform in order to just kind of emote through verse, I could allow that. You can mix and match skills and stats.
Sure.
They're just listed under the ones that they are most commonly used.
So that'd be 5 plus a master die.
Be 5 plus a master die. I will warn you, there is an unspecified height minimum for this. That's a difficulty in Rain is minimum height to the roll.
Okay.
So
since I'm inventing a genre, I'm going to swing for the fences and set. Oh, the master die is not an experience die. I don't have to set it. It just yeah. Cool.
You set it afterwards.
Alrighty.
Expert die you set before.
Yes.
Master die you set afterward. Experience dice are from Over the Edge, which is our other campaign.
That's right. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. We play.
Just clarifying for the listener.
We play a bunch of different systems here at Dice Punks. Okay, here we go.
That's the idea.
Okay, so with the master die, that is 3 6s. Which is about as perfect as I could have possibly asked for.
Oh my goodness.
I will verify this with photography if you need, because it wouldn't have been without the master die. I want to be very clear on that point.
Do go ahead and capture an image just so that we can post it to the website if we
Most
need
certainly.
to.
I will. Here, I'm going to put these aside because I don't have my phone with me, but I will do that. All right.
Okay.
This is the most beautiful thing to have occur.
It was fate, frankly.
It was.
Which is actually another system we may play at some point. In any case. So, what exactly do you say?
I'm going to end up at the Cookie Monster voice, or an attempt at it, which is how I think of the death metal voice. That's probably not what. That's not a term of art. But
no, I mean, I've seen it enough places that I think it's a trope of referring to death metal.
But I think Dusk's process, such as it is for this, would be to reverse engineer. Like, well, okay, it's a sea shanty, but with less emphasis on melody. It's a body song, but not so much body as angry. It's a song, but it's a poem, but without such emphasis on meter. It's singing, but without such emphasis on singing. And I think I come up with a sort of guttural, intense growl with evocative imagery of ruination. And it's probably the closest thing anyone in Taraxis has ever come up with, most proximate to death metal.
Fair enough. And what is you don't have to give me lyrics here, but what are you attempting to convey through it?
It's going to be something along the lines of whirling maelstrom of rage, keep my friends safe.
So, Mavia, your sort of close feedback loop with Remulus suddenly has a third voice that is definitely less primal and a little more on the shrill side, but in a way that expresses a lot of, it's not exactly fury, maybe more like angst.
Oh no, I invented new metal instead. That's a critical failure.
I wasn't going to be that harsh, man. I was going to put you more in the range of like metalcore.
Okay, fair enough.
But and it conveys more through its feeling than its words a sort of desire for your continuance and for your passengers' continuance. It may or may not merit a particular response, but it does come through.
Yeah. I scream back a chorus. That's probably about as illegible in terms of what's actually being said as listening to Rammstein for the first time as an English speaker.
Right. Dusk, you receive a reply you weren't expecting to, and pass out. But when you awake, you feel as though the reply was probably somewhere within like 90 degrees of affirmative, so you take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I think thinking back on it and critiquing my work as Dusk certainly would, I probably nailed the tone in the first part of the phrase, but when I invoked safety, that was probably way too soft. So this was the best outcome I could have expected.
So, Dusk, you are confined to your chambers. Mavia, you are contained within a maelstrom for about the next 2.5 days. At which point, Dusk, you hear shouting above decks. And then, about an hour later, you feel the whole boat give a jolt. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. If you've ever been in a highway accident that did not total the car, that's more or less what it feels like. You actually are thrown bodily across your cabin because there are no restraints in it. And you hear a lot of shouting and a lot of cursing from the deck.
Do I take any injuries from being thrown across the cabin? Okay, cool.
Nah.
Just asking because I'm already half
You're
dead
fine.
in the head, so.
Sure, it would be some shock damage, but by the time you get above decks, like, shock damage would have been off, so. Assuming you are leaving your cabin to see what's going on. That may be an incorrect assumption.
I'm not going to go back to bed.
Well, that was weird.
Pull the covers up over the head,
yeah. You go above decks and you find that there is land. It is not immediately in front of you. It's about 200 yards off. And the ship seems to have been grounded on a sandbar. The whirlpool is about 50 yards behind you. And you see, as you watch, the whirlpool lift up a little bit out of the surf and eject a human figure toward the ship. The body skips once, twice, and then plunk just after the ship. And then the whirlpool lifts all the way out to become a waterspout again. You hear the eerie song on the wind, and it rapidly makes for the horizon. Mavia has a little bit of warning from Romulus, who says, "We have arrived at the object of your ire, beautiful one, and I hope that we shall meet again. Thank you for this voyage. I am strengthened." And then you feel yourself ejected, and the sudden shock of being separated from the fury you've been feeding on sends you back to sleep. And so when the body is hauled up out of the surf and onto the deck of the ship, you have a very waterlogged, mostly unconscious Lissa to deal with.
As I feel the change, I make one more attempt at death metal. And the words are something like, "Master of rage, furious traversal, more powerful than despair." I probably don't know that Lissa's back yet, so I don't react to that. But
Yeah.
I, as a player, am super glad.
Lissa, as you come around, you realize that there is blood all down the front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Not apparently human blood. It's pretty dark and a little less red. And you feel a little queasy for some reason.
And there's stuff probably still in my teeth, too.
A little bit. It's very rubbery.
I throw up over... I kind of have to pull myself up, but I puke over the edge of the boat almost immediately.
All of the gathered sailors go, mm-hmm. The captain stomps up and she goes, "What in the holy hell has been going on, young lady?"
I don't know. Where are we?
Well, we're on a goddamned sandbar is where we are.
This is a development. What happened to all the flappy things?
I was hoping you could tell us, actually. You jumped into the whirlpool, and then it carried us here. In 2 days!
She carried us?
Who the bloody hell are you talking about?
It's, where's Dosk? Is he okay?
Am I arriving about now at the deck?
You were literally standing there the whole time.
Oh, damn!
Well, I would have been reacting then. I mean, I definitely just like run and embrace Lissa, like that, regardless of any of the hot water we may or may not be in with Captain, first and foremost. But then I probably turn to the captain and say, well, she, I believe, would be the whirlpool. And this is not the most important or salient point, but of course, my calculations as to how quickly we'd arrive were never mind. That's not important. The important thing is we're safe.
She just fixed you with a bit of a glare. Oh, aye, we're safe and on a sandbar.
Well, better a sandbar than the open ocean,
I
suppose.
just throw up again over the edge of the boat.
I cut myself off and say what she said.
Marvelous. Looking at the shore a couple 100 yards off, you're seeing a colder landscape than you left in Taraxis. It's not snowy, but you can see that just inland there are these mountains. There's a little bit of plain and sort of scrub forest between the shore and you, rocky shore, as well. And there are these mountains that have, some of the higher ones have snowy caps. The sky is very blue with sort of tattered clouds up over the mountains. It extends off in either direction as far as you can see. And there aren't any settlements that you can see on the shore, but you think you can see some sort of smoke rising a little bit past the peaks. So there seems to be maybe civilization somewhere on the other side of or within these mountains. The forest that you can see, the sort of scrub, is mostly evergreen. And indeed, there's a little bit of chill to the air here compared to your Taraxan norm. The time of day is about midday. And the ship seems to have been basically borne up onto the outer edge of this sandbar and is sort of listing a little bit to the right, which would be starboard. As it sort of settles in, and the sailors are all standing around staring at Lissa. The captain is glaring at the both of you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened, and I'm not in any I can't talk to them right now. I can't hear you.
Drew, you are not coming through at all.
Which is sad because the gestures was
Talking with your hands doesn't work in a podcast. We had some barking dogs, so I think I managed to mute myself so you didn't get any of that, but then you lost some of me. Sorry. Feel free to marker me. Nor do you need to talk to them. I stand up and I say, well, I'm no expert in getting off of sandbars, but I am an expert in it being good that we're alive. Let me start again. We seem to have more or less arrived, more or less safely. So where do we go from here?
The captain fixes you with a glare and says, well, off the sandbar first. We can't even get to the shore from here, much less get our wares off.
Can I make the part of the sandbar we're stuck in not be, briefly? How much of a miracle would that be?
As a matter of fact, that is well within the realm of your lesser creation of nothing.
So as I'm saying this, I'm also making it so, though of course with a grand gesture.
Yeah, you get a grand gesture, and suddenly the ship rights itself and sort of bobs for a second, and the captain goes, ah! And the finger up in the air and goes, what in the seven hells just happened?
My answer is a
sandbar. Poof.
What she said. In lieu of a better explanation, I make a deep bow and I say, Captain?
The captain sort of sits there for a moment, looking like she wants to scold you, and then turns to her crew and says, we're back in the water, boys! Get us around this goddamn sandbar and try to find us a harbor. And so you spend the rest of the day seeking a place to dock. Or at least drop anchor, I guess. Dock would be inappropriate, since there is not actually a dock.
I thought you were implying there would be. Yeah.
You sail, let's say northerly, along the coast after you figure out a way around the sandbar, and staying out where it's deep enough for the ship, you eventually find a little cove. It's not exactly sandy, but it is sheltered. You could drop anchor and launch the ship's boats. And the captain basically tells you in no uncertain terms that the two of you are going to be going ashore and finding people to trade with, and you're going to come back here and let her know so that then she can move the ship to try to trade. And she's going to basically let the two of you handle it. She doesn't have anybody on the ship who has any chance in hell of being able to interpret for whatever fucking language they speak here, her words. But she's going to stay here and conserve supplies until you return. And if you're not back in a week, she's going to turn around and leave you here. And good riddance.
Reasonable terms. And, Captain, germane question. What do we have to trade?
She actually brings you down into the hold rather than explaining, and shows you that mostly what you've got are extremely fine sort of luxury goods and artisan crafts. You have finely embroidered silken garments. You have filigreed and expert cast gold, silver, and even a couple platinum ornaments. You've got a lot of pearl encrusted, sort of, we'll call them tools, but they're more like implements, things that would be for show. You've also got at least one sort of shipment of extremely fine parchment, and a number of exotic furs traded down from above the Shadowlands. That sort of thing.
I say, little of use, but a great deal of value, as Uncle Melly would say.
She nods sharply and she says, we've also got, I don't know if you can explain this, but she shows you to a crate that is full of what you take a moment to be able to parse. They are artifacts and trinkets from the Godswoods. Probably more than you've ever seen in one place at a time. Now, these are things that have odd properties. Nothing maybe incredibly useful or powerful, but certainly odd. And often inexplicable.
Are they genuinely supernatural in some way that I can see if I look to the world behind the world, or are they simply odd in a quasi-mundane way?
Interestingly enough, they are not odd in any kind of divine way. They are more of a sorcery kind of odd. So the sort of thing that maybe Ramnet would have something to say about, but as Nobilis, you don't have much truck in.
Is there anything that resonates with my domain?
Of Fury?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm going to actually roll for that, just to have some fun.
Yeah.
Finally, some fun around here.
I mean, I've been having
it's taken
a
us
great
10
time.
episodes. We had to get some fun eventually. Interestingly enough, there is one instance of what seems to be a naturally occurring whorl in some hardwood that closely resembles a wolf, or at least the head of one, snarling. And it's been kind of not like totally covered in, but sort of limbed in wolf fur. And when you touch it, you actually feel Mavia stir.
I obviously jerk my hand back, first and foremost. And then, consideringly, I look at Dusk and say, if we ever need our friend, that she seems to like that.
That's good to know, and I'm immensely relieved that you've come to consider her a friend on some level. We should talk later. I give a sidelong glance toward Captain.
We did avoid a situation. I don't think there's been any, and I kind of glance at the captain, casualties on the crew.
Captain goes, "Hi, there weren't. Make sure that if that happens again, you throw yourself off the stern again."
I salute and say, "Hi, Captain. I'll take that leap for you."
The combination of that's amazing. I ship it. The combination of being in the hold and being told to jump off the ship is giving Dusk too many flashbacks of dealing with his family. So I think we're done here.
Yeah. So you have a good idea of what sorts of things you have. Luxury items, sort of the most exquisite and rare of the goods that the Tyr family can trade. And in short order, the captain has you on the ship's boat, headed toward the shore.
Could I change before heading out? Because I don't think it'd be great to trade covered in blood and viscera, so I probably ransack a few, like, whoever's willing to share clothes with me and try to put together something vaguely sailor pirate-esque. Even get the little hat. And a spyglass that I don't know how to use, but it's there for aesthetic.
You have enough coin to trade somebody for their hat. You don't have enough coin to get the captain's spyglass.
Ah!
She will not give it up for love nor money. But you look positively swashbuckling otherwise.
Fantastic.
And so you're lowered in the ship's boat with a few days of provisions and your personal possessions, and the captain says, "Remember, 7 days. Then I'll leave."
And good riddance, as you said. All right. See you sooner than that, then.
And so, presumably mostly Lissa rows you to the shore. And you find yourself stepping foot on a continent that, as far as you know, no Taraxan has ever visited before. There's a little bit of sand here in this cove, as opposed to the much rockier coast elsewhere, although it is a dark gray and black and very gritty. And the scrubland comes almost all the way up to the shoreline. The mountains begin to rise almost immediately. It's not quite a fjord, but it's only about a mile to the foothills.
I call this place Tirsa Land.
Something about the previous experience, but Dusk guffaws, but then agrees enthusiastically.
And the two of you set off toward the slopes to try and find those signs of civilization in the mountains that you saw before. And I think that's going to be as good a place as any for us to end our session today.
Woo woo!
Woo!
So you can each have 1 mortal and 1 divine XP for your confrontation with other Nobilis.
I am less running on empty than I expected after that confrontation, though still pretty empty, particularly in the domain.
It did go about as well as you could have hoped, I suppose. Well, And that concludes this session of Dice Punks. Thank you for joining us. I hope our players and listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, and that you'll all join us again next time. If you're hearing us now, then you probably know where to listen to us, but we can be found almost any place one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com and on Twitter as @dicepunks. With that, I think we're ready to say farewell. Say goodbye to the kind folks at Holmes, players.
Thanks for listening, and if you're not back in 7 days, we will not abandon you.
Thanks for listening, and remember, don't settle. If you want to find your primal whirlpool in the middle of the ocean, go for it.
And as the poet once said, I know the ocean speaks. I've heard her call to me. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in, and stick around through the admin stuff. There's Alyssa's line with Robin waiting for you at the end of it. The songs in this episode, theme of the Dice Punks, and its acoustic version were written and recorded by the Duke of Nothing himself, Drew. Cover art is by Joanne, who will be behind the scenes for the time being, but played Rue the Gremlin in our Psionics one-shot. Site design and graphics for DicePunks.com are by Robin, the player behind the irrepressible Lissa, the Duchess of Fury. Rain and the one-roll engine it runs on were created by Greg Stolze, whose work can be found in a frankly astonishing number of cool places, but I'll point you toward gregstolze.com. Nobilis was created by Jenna Caterin Moran, and can be found alongside much of our other really intriguing work, both in and outside of tabletop roleplaying, at a farandsunlessland.wordpress.com. Links to both systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, well, that's rewarded enough on its own, really, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks. We have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks After Show for episodes 1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
All right. Well, I have to do a lot of physical labor in my job, so my diet is an important corner of that. And I try to eat clean, but there is a place, or was a place in my hometown that had the best fried cheese. And that was my rare treat. And the barmaid that would always fetch them for me came to realize that I delighted in having them. So whenever I came into the tavern, she would set a plate of them in front of me without me having so much as to order them. So one day I looked her in the eye and I say, the only thing more exciting than having these cheese cubes in front of me is having you in front of me. And it worked.